Good afternoon, all of you. Thank you so much for joining us here at Chrome Partners Factory, state-of-the-art factory, I must mention. We are really glad to be hosted by our chairman, Mr. Sachin Gudka, and we hope to learn a lot today and interact and ask questions so that we can be able to grow our businesses and grow ourselves. So welcome.
Our panelists today are the Kenya Association of Manufacturers Chair, Sachin Gudka, the Kenya Association of Manufacturers Women in Manufacturing Chair, Flora Mutahi, and the Kenya Association of Manufacturers CEO, Phyllis Wakiaga.
And just getting to Phyllis as the Kenya Association of Manufacturers CEO, you're synonymous with KAM. You walk around. Somebody told us that during the curfew period, they were stopped and the cops asked them, which essential services? They were from KAM. And someone asked them, which essential services do you provide? And they said, no, I work at the Kenya Association of Manufacturers. And then someone said, oh, ile Phyllis Wakiaga. So that's a good thing, I presume. But what do you think was your vision when you and Flora and we kind of had this small chat about, do we really do this thing? How do we go about it? It was a bit of a... And then now we were like, if we don't start now, I remember we started very small and Cicely came.
Yes.
Do you think that in your vision, you're looking at people like Juliet who have the institutional knowledge, then coming out of SCANEM and starting their own SCANEM? I mean, what do you see the vision of women in manufacturing going there, and what do you think was the vision starting?
Thank you very much, Sally, Sachin for hosting us, and Flora for the great work you're doing with your mentorship program. When Flora and I had the discussion about starting the Women in Manufacturing program, it was really about inclusivity, because I always go back to the quote by Barack Obama when he said that you can't win if 50% of your team is not playing. And at the end of the day, in any sector, in any aspect of society, that inclusivity has to be there. So for the manufacturing sector, the reality is that it's male dominated, and that's a fact. And it's a fact that is something that we need to be addressing. Because if we bring more women to the table, we can do more for the manufacturing sector in Kenya. As we know, also manufacturing is a priority for the country. It's the sector that has transformed the economies, not just in Africa. In Africa, we are still striving, but the economies that have grown have really grown the backbone of manufacturing. So for the manufacturing sector, if we are going to be able to grow, we have to bring women to the table. We have to get them to participate in manufacturing. We have to get them interested in investing in manufacturing, because the more of us participating in manufacturing means that we have the ability to then grow the sector. So one of the areas also, or things we looked at, is when we would also say that we are looking for women in manufacturing, you would find a lot of them in certain parts of manufacturing. The hardcore manufacturing would rarely have players from the female gender. So we wanted, first of all, to have the inclusivity where we bring everyone in. We also wanted to influence policy, because the policy space is also one of the areas that can lead to a lot of growth in manufacturing. If, for example, you look at the issue of public procurement, some of the big contracts or the big procurement in government would make a really big difference if we were able to buy from the local industry, and if we were able to buy from SMEs. And a lot of those people would be women players, whether it's in manufacturing or in other sectors. So influencing policy is also another way to ensure that women are included in this space. So the ambition at that point, I think, is something that we're starting to see being realized. As KAM, we also started the SME Hub, and we've seen a lot of women come in through that SME Hub, which has been then a platform for us to build capacity, because capacity building is also critical for us to be able to grow. We've also been able then to realize and have more women participate, even at leadership level at KAM, because at the sector level, we now have certain sectors being led by women manufacturers. And having more of that is then going to change the narrative and make the possibility of that inclusivity come to pass. So I think it's a journey. We are not at the tail end. We've made significant strides and steps, we've raised the profile and the reality that women can actually manufacture and that there's opportunity for them to grow. So I think we're headed on the right path. And this program that Flora has started of mentoring, I think is also going to go a long way to handhold, because one of the things that's missing is that mentorship, that coaching, that handholding, and that support that can be given to grow entrepreneurs. So this program is going to be very useful to a lot of women. And then as the Association of Manufacturers, we want to go beyond. For those of you who are part of the program who are not members, come on board so that we are able to work with you, identify opportunities, create the linkages, give you the exposure, and I think that will make a big difference in helping you grow and scale your business.
Thank you for that. I'm going to open it up to questions.
Thank you, Chairman, for allowing us to walk around your facility. We've just seen it's a world-class facility. How have you managed to make it lean from the lean management? How have you managed to do it from beginning to the end?
I think at the beginning we were all running 6 different factories, and it was an opportunity to craft something and create a world-class facility from the word go. And with us under these premises, we have a total of about 85,000 square feet here. And at SCANM, we have about 65,000, I think. So that's allowing that scale presents, we brought in Kaizen to build a lean factory from first principles to have the right workflows, the right efficiencies in place and so on. So people don't waste time moving from one part to another and so on. So all that was part of that. It's also to reduce waste and have what we call continuous excellence and continuous improvement in your operations. And that really, if you're going to create something of scale, you need to be one of the lowest cost competitive factories around. And from here we export to a few destinations. But at SCANM we export to about 15 countries we export labels to about 15 countries from there. And you cannot do it if you're not competitive. So basically getting in the lean process enables you to be competitive and to then have scale and have the right workflows. And it's also necessary because we deal with quite a lot of multinationals as well who expect that higher standard in terms of food safety, workflows, and general environment and cleanliness on the floor and so on. Yeah. I hope that answers you.
Our chairman has perfected Kaizen, so so I'm pretty sure he's happy to answer any questions. You've noticed how you get into the factory and it's one way and you just go out, and that's amazing. For the most factories, we just get lost in a maze. However, we are hoping that we are all coming on board to sort of have that kind of world-class facility all over the country. Anybody else with questions?
I have a question that applies to both Sachin and Flora. You're in very different industries, but I think the issue is the same. You both invested heavily. How do you ensure that you stay competitive in a very systematic way so you're not sort of guessing? So that, 5-10 years from now, you're growing bigger and more relevant to the industry rather than sort of suffering at times like now.
When we started here, we were on a good growth trajectory. We had a good January, February. COVID happened. So a bit of a decline in revenue in March. Then in April, straight 50% down. In May, 75% down from our budgets. And in June, we're back up to about 50% down at these premises. At SCANM, we've been okay. We've been at kind of last year's levels and so on. But the investment that is here cannot sustain a 50% decline in turnover. So we have been looking for growth trajectories and avenues, moved a lot more onto the packaging side because that's that's more sustainable in terms of essential goods purchases and so on right now. We're doing a lot of pharmaceutical packaging as well, because people were importing from India, supply chains got disrupted, so they moved to local supply chains and so on. So you have to evolve and adapt and move with speed, and that's really what you need to do in terms of making sure you have resilience in adverse circumstances. And now we're hoping for a better trajectory with part of the economy opening up slowly, thanks to the help from Phyllis and from KAM and so on. Yeah. Flora?
Wow, what more can I add? I think it's just staying relevant, and really the whole thing around this COVID thing is when sales went down, one of the most important things we learned in all these 15 million Zoom calls is, where's your customer? Where are they? What are they doing? And you can see, like, for him, he's already traced, and you've seen now they're moving towards pharmaceutical. So for us, like in tea, what we noticed is with the uncertainty, first we surpassed our Q1 targets way beyond, because I think people were hoarding. But straight after that, then everybody's like on let me reserve my cash because I don't know what's going on. So our smaller sizes then started picking up, and the bigger sizes then started getting dampened. Again, we noticed people moving from modern trade, because you don't want to go into the Carrefours and the whatever, or any large store, because there are going to be many people. People went to the home, domestic, whatever. So I think the most important thing is to trace where has your customer gone and follow that customer. And that's, on that way. When you're talking about investing for the future, it's really trying to understand what's going on. And that's why they keep saying, please make sure you understand your macroeconomics, you understand trends. You've got to keep reading. What are people going to do? Like, one of our biggest challenges currently is the youth are not taking tea. I'm sure here 50% of you maybe don't take tea. And that is what we've invested in. So it's become a growing question in our minds. What are we going to do, and how are we going to survive 10, 20 years from now? So it's really about keeping up with trends, and R&D being your best friend.
Melvin's coffee coming soon.
We are Kenyan, we don't want to be just Actually, part of why coffee became so popular is because it was infused into the pop culture, into the youth culture, and every movie you watched, coffee was always the cool thing. So I guess
there's my idea.
Exactly. So I guess with the tea, you can find some maybe calligraph.
Even Phyllis started drinking coffee.
Maybe you can find some people to sing about tea and have
make
tea
it
on
funky,
there. Make it funky. Yes. I'll take this question.
So hi, and my question goes to Phyllis, and that's in regards to what does KAM do to promote locally made products compared to the imported ones? What does the association? How do you support us so that we are able to sometimes also go over that hurdle of saying our products that are made here are also very, very good quality. Of course, we market them like that, but we need, I would like to know what KAM does.
So that's why Kenya Association of Manufacturers exists, to promote made in Kenya and locally manufactured products. So we do it, first of all, by having a lot of dialogue with government, so that we have policies that promote locally manufactured products. So that starts with the public procurement. So for example, the Public Procurement Act, we have pushed and ensured that there's a preference and reservation for products that are made in Kenya. So in the procurement regulations, there are certain products that are reserved for made in Kenya products. And then there's also a margin of preference, where when you bid for a tender in government, when they are calculating, you have a margin of preference if your product is made in Kenya. So you see that way, then you have an advantage in terms of public procurement. So that's one thing we've done. The other thing we've done is we've worked closely with the Ministry of Industry, who are also very key champions of the Buy Kenya, Build Kenya agenda, and we've developed a local content policy. And out of the local content policy, we've also looked at goods that are available in abundance locally. And with the help of CS Betty Maina, who was formerly at KAM, we've developed a list of products that is then going to be given to the entire government, where we say, that these things are manufactured abundantly in Kenya, they should not be imported. So the policy direction that is going to come out very soon from government is that for those products on that list, you have to buy them locally if you're procuring as a government entity. Then the other thing we've done is the reason why local products struggle within the market and why sometimes pushing Buy Kenya, Build Kenya becomes a difficult agenda is because of competitiveness. Because at the end of the day, the consumer looks at the price. Whether it's government, an individual, they'll go to the shelf and then check. This one is 500, this one is 200. Unless I'm very passionate, I'll probably buy the cheaper product. So the agenda we drive around competitiveness is to ensure that our products are manufactured affordably. That way, when you go to the shelf, at least from a price aspect, you're not able to then choose an imported product because it's 30% or 40% cheaper. And then lastly, raising awareness. So a lot of the campaigns we do are around Buy Kenya, Build Kenya, the pride that you should take in either wearing local manufactured products, buying locally manufactured products. So raising that awareness and just making Kenyans take pride in what is made in Kenya, I think is critical. And then the last one, anytime you talk Buy Kenya, Build Kenya, amongst people who are not passionate about the subject, they'll talk about quality. In their minds, synonymously, people always think when you're telling them buy local, you're telling them buy a substandard product. So we've also tried to raise that and just make people aware that the fact that something is made locally does not mean it's a low quality product. But in the same breath, we also work with manufacturers to say, can we up our game? Because sometimes they are low quality products in the market. So how do they also ensure they up their game?
Just to add to Phyllis's thing, there's a survey by Kantar. People know Kantar, the market survey guys, which said they did a pulse check of Kenyan consumers. 90% of Kenyans post-COVID said they would prefer to buy locally. There was also an anti-China sentiment saying 80% would not buy stuff from China. So these are all interesting dynamics, and I think it's important for you when you're branding your stuff and so on as well, try and put in your national heritage and spirit in there as well, just because Kenyans will want to buy Kenyan product. Particularly right now, there's a mistrust of imported goods. We don't know where it's been handled and so on. So they will prefer to buy local goods. So up your game on that. Yeah.
Take advantage of a crisis.
Yes.
You had a question?
Yes.
My question is, when it comes to scale, there is this thing called Kadogo economy in Kenya. I would like to make impact at the grassroots level, because those are the people who especially need my products. So what can we do in order to still maintain the quality but be able to reach the larger part of the pyramid at the bottom?
I thought manufacturers would answer this. However, in my mind, I'm not a player, but I mean, from what I know, it's about where you choose to play in your product, where you position your product. Because either you're making a niche product or a mass market product. Those are very different dynamics. Because for mass market, the product has to be affordable. For the niche market, you could then have to consider some of those things of having a product and justifying why your product is more expensive. And the niche market would be able to understand and pay for that.
Okay.
So how you differentiate, how you position your product, all that would have to count. If you then want the same product to reach the mass market, you might need to do more market research to understand how you can make a product that needs those things, but in the most affordable way. So just figuring out how your product gets into the mass market still meets what you're saying, the criteria of the mothers having the most nutritious product, but you're able to sell it affordably. Because when I am in Kibera, I am not thinking of buying a niche product. I'm thinking of just getting my baby porridge. But how will you do it then in the most affordable way? So sometimes even partnership, sourcing of your raw material, how do you source it more affordably? But let the players speak. You might have better insights.
I think as a beginning, is you've heard of economies of scale. So the larger your market, your costs are going to, other than your variable costs, your fixed costs then become smaller and smaller. So you do want to go into a larger area and attract them. Then there's this thing they call perceived value. As long as somebody believes there is value in something, they will pay what you need to pay. Like I do, I started with flavor, now I'm in all of them. But when I started with the flavor, it was always more expensive. And I used to tell people, but you're getting 2 in 1. You're getting the flavor and you're getting the tea. And we grew. So it's about really making sure your marketing they understand your marketing. But I think I like also what she says is you have to keep constantly working. Down to even the way your factory is set up will actually dictate the kind of cost you're going to get, where you source, how you source, quantities. Always go to your suppliers. For us, every 6 months, we always go and say, we're buying a bit more. Can you give us a better price? Half the time, they usually get a better deal than you, but you keep trying until one day somebody says, actually, yeah, I can.
Just one point to add on is look at partnering with some decent-sized FMCG companies, because you're adding a product that's not in their basket, but it could be added to their basket. You can reduce your distribution costs and so on. So, for example, Bitco just started putting in Lotus flour. So they're not in the wheat flour industry, but they partnered with someone to basically have the distribution done. And when their trucks go to Bungoma or wherever, they're carrying not only edible oil and other things, but they're also carrying wheat flour as well. So you're adding a broader product base or a bigger basket and reducing your distribution costs.
It's a good one.
Very good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Gasheri,
I am a member of KAM personally, and I've totally enjoyed that journey. The day I decided I was leaving dentistry and coming into manufacturing 100%, I first went looking for Phyllis. And
It's like pulling teeth.
yeah. So it's been a great opportunity. One, you get to be at the table that decides what people are going to do with your own products that you're making, because you don't want to make products that then decisions are made elsewhere. So I have totally enjoyed the journey of having to be, especially after the SME Hub has been introduced. It's been a great journey for the SMEs. And please, 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 I am begging all of you to just come and assist us in making the necessary noise. Then the opportunities for you to be able to showcase your product. I think the biggest for me was when we were doing the Comesa 21 event, and I was called from nowhere. The only thing that I knew is my name was on the list of the SMEs in Kenya. And so, yeah, there we were on a booth, and I got to have the president at my booth. I got to have the former prime minister at my booth. I made noise on Facebook and everywhere as we've been talking in the group with Flora. And yeah, it got me quite a number of customers. So, and this was an event that was being watched by the world. So guys, you're getting an opportunity for you to be able to showcase your brand to the world. Now, may I be allowed to ask my question?
Thank you for marketing.
I have campaigned enough for the slot. I wanted to ask Soshan, there's a question, there's something that you mentioned when you were talking about why the 6 companies came together. And for me, it's a real struggle. The fact that you find yourself, all you do is buy machines, put in money back into buying machines, put in money back into buying more machines. Is there another way of you solving that problem other than having to bring in someone else on board? Just imagining sometimes it may be a difficult one to be able to identify who else is within the same policies, within the same strategies as what you have. So how else? Or how would you advise that we go around that? Because I know it's probably a problem all of us are dealing with. Thank you.
I think there's always growing pains. So whenever you're in a growth phase, you'll have to keep on, and technology keeps changing. So you have to make sure you're ahead of the technology. You plan for it in advance. And over here, we always believe one thing for sure: cheap is expensive. You always buy the best assets possible. In Ask Juliet, what the investments we've done at Scanum, investments we've done here, we always buy the best assets possible, because you need something that will work over a long time. And those assets don't come cheap. But at the same time, it allows you to have an edge over the market, to have a competitive edge, and also it differentiates you sometimes from the competition because they don't have that kind of capability. The third thing is it enables you to generate a return faster than having cheap assets which can cause you trouble in the long run. So that's part of it. But the need to reinvest, particularly in this industry, the reinvestment is always heavy. In Flora's industry, which is tea, the technology and things don't change that much. But when she has to make a leap from making 5 million tea bags to 50 million tea bags, that's a step change in what you need to do. And she's just invested in that kind of technology. So it takes a leap of faith. Sometimes you don't know whether you have a certain market and so on. But this is, you need to do your market research, you need to understand your route to market and so on. Here in our companies, we are a B2B market. We deal from business to business. Flora is B2C, all of you are pretty much B2C. And that understanding the mindset of the consumer, the psyche of the consumer, and knowing your true market and your route to market is really important. Investment is painful, but it's necessary. Because otherwise, if you stay behind the technological curve, you'll be left behind right now. Everything from your ERPs or whatever, your management information systems to your plant and equipment and things, put in decent effort and energy into understanding it, understanding the complexities, and buying the right stuff at the right time. I hope that answers you.
Finally, we're going to have Yvonne.
I have one question. Actually, it's two questions that I hope you can both answer. If you look 3 months back from now and you didn't have an idea that what was going to happen with COVID and the whole shutdown and how companies have experienced lots of different challenges, what would you do differently? If you had a chance to go 6 months back, what would you do differently than what you've done or what you had planned to do initially? And then now that you know what has happened in the last 3 months, this is the second part of the question. What are you going to do differently? And what would you advise businesses to do differently? Thank you.
My name is Joyce. I'm from Spot On Enterprises. We do apparel manufacturing. And first of all, I'd like to encourage everyone, just like Asheri said, please join KAM. I personally have really benefited. And one of the things that really made me join KAM was that I was looking for mentorship. And somebody told me, if you need mentorship, you've got to go looking for them. They don't come to you. So if you need to be mentored by Flora, come on, you've got to join KAM so that you can meet Flora there. Yeah, and thank you very much, Flora. We've really enjoyed the mentorship program. I'm sure everybody has, and we have learned a lot. So to my question, I liked what Chairman said about mergers and, just coming together with people who are doing the same thing that you're doing. And for us, really, at the moment, we're in manufacturing of apparel, surely. And right now, I'm sure everybody is thinking business is good for us. And sometimes it's not easy for us SMEs because capacities, everything, finances. How do you identify people that you can work with and how do you approach them?
I think to your question, it's okay, we didn't really see COVID coming, but most of our businesses were financially able to withstand the hit. I would say, looking back, letting costs run ahead of revenues is always a danger, it's a red flag. So sometimes you're putting in cost in anticipation of your revenues coming in. I'm sure all of you have faced it. So saying, should I hire this salesperson because they'll bring in the sales, then the salesperson doesn't deliver, the revenues don't come in faster than your costs. So I think having a close control of your cost, having a sustainable cost base is really important, and you need to do that and have a lean organization. Another thing we did, we looked at our own organizations and we really started trimming a lot of fat that was inbuilt into our organizations. Because these crises prompt you to look at that and say, oh, I was doing this in a different way. For example, we had waste collection. Guys come in 4 times a week. We've now moved them to unlimited trips for this number of shillings a month and all that kind of thing. So you need to think innovatively, differently, and a crisis will make you focus and actually say, where am I going? At the same time, we looked at our revenue base and started looking at our sales funnels really carefully, building them up and approaching them in a targeted manner. And we've seen a lot of success in the last 3 months. So your sales funnel, where is your, sometimes you need to do cold calls, the bottom of your sales funnel, but whoever you have at the top, you need to start knocking on their doors and starting converting opportunities into and closing them such that you have the sales and so on. Maybe it could be distributorships, whatever it is. So move on that, move with aggression, move with speed. You have no time to lose because otherwise you're carrying cost at the moment. The third area I would say is innovation and speed to market. So what we're seeing is a lot of customers are coming in and saying, I want to launch this tomorrow. Whereas previously they would have a 5-6 week cycle, they would now want it tomorrow. And you just need to be able to adapt that and work on that and get to grips with how do you reduce your own processes and streamline such that you are able to give the customer what they want tomorrow. And that's a step change as well. So a lot of things you do differently, and I think the world has changed. You will need to adapt and be very, very agile going forward. Flo, you want to answer first?
Just to add on to what you're saying, this is the biggest opportunity I've ever seen for SMEs in my life. It's not long, but all of a sudden now everybody's shopping on the net. So it means you can get onto the desk or get to speak to the boss that you've been looking for, and you've been previously finding so many gatekeepers. All of a sudden, like he says, everything is about trying. So SMEs, that's where you are. So send your product, send this. They're not going to be asking you anymore how many tons can you do, because the whole world is really in a lot of uncertainty. So if there's no better time to be an SME than now. But it's time, like you say, like he says, to really knock on those doors, really know what you need, and proceed. You don't mind replying, asking the question again.
It was about mergers, right? And how do you know who the right partners are? Yes.
First and foremost, you need the right to look for people who you know you'll get along with. So like-minded, a shared vision for the future. So over here we said we'd combine, but we'll probably want to exit in say 5-6 years time at a multiple and sell out and so on. But we build it to scale, because anyone coming to buy you out is not really going to look for 6 individual small, medium-sized companies. They'll want to buy a big one, and that's also part of the rationale for the merger, to have a shared vision to say, yep, we have this, but we also have an exit strategy in mind, and this is what we're looking at getting, say in 5 or 6 years time down the line. The culture fit is super important, because you could have partners coming in. You might be successful in your own right, Juliet's successful in her own right, you might be successful in your own right. But to get those body of ideas together and different voices in the room, all with maybe proven channels of working successfully individually, may not be the right formula when you have a merged entity. Your governance structures need to be super important. Non-executive directors, again, very important. Maybe you can't afford non-executive directors, then get mentors on board who can come on and advise you in a business scenario. So have all those. It's really important, and really having strong direction, leadership, and so on. But it's not just the people here who have the ideas, it's people on your shop floor who also have a lot of ideas. How do you surface those ideas up, and how do you get those listened to and acted upon as well? So a lot of things, finding a merger partner is not easy, but some of the things, someone asked the question about space and so on. If you're in a space, you have maybe say 5,000 square feet, you need 1,000, she needs 1,000, and so on. You don't need 5 accountants, you don't need 5 secretaries, you don't need all that. Use shared resources, one person to service all 5, and so on. So do all that, start thinking innovatively, and have your cost base reduced so that you can price your product reasonably and reach your market at the bottom of the pyramid.
But just a word of caution. I'm tending to find there's a lot of private equity. Merge, guys, grow your businesses fast.
Yeah.
Grow your business
and make yourself attractive.
Yeah, there's no shortcut. Grow your businesses, and because you want to go to a table when you have some clout,
muscle.
Yeah, you want to have some muscle. Don't be that sidelined person. So please, I think that's a conversation for way later. I don't even think I'm a size enough to even begin thinking like that. It's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea to know it, but grow your businesses. Like I said, always be selling. Has anybody tried to sell here where we are today?
Okay, so I'm bringing this to a close, and I just want each of you to give us your parting shots. Chairman, I think the question I'll ask you is, do you think the government is shortchanging itself by not making it easy for women to participate in the manufacturing sector? What would be your comment on that?
Ignore government. You don't need government, honestly. It's your own blood, sweat, and tears which is going to lift you up. Do not even think there's a government. I mean, they exist. It's you have to pay your taxes, but at the end of the day, you need to find your niche. You need to find your product. You need to find your decent staff. And you need to find your markets, you need to find everything. You've got so much more to worry about. Government's the last of your worries. Focus on your core and get your customers quality right first time, deliver at the right price, and so on.
Always
amazing.
Always.
Let KM worry about government for you.
Chair Flora, what do you think we can do to overcome the structural challenges that tell women that they can't be the next KAM or the next Chrome partners?
What do we need to do?
Yes. What would you tell the women they need to do?
I think we need to do more of this.
Yes.
We need to do more of this, the SME hub. We need to just reach out to women and tell them it is possible, it is doable. There's no reason why we cannot. And culturally, we need to start changing that thought that women are seen and not heard and on the back burner. I do know with this new generation, it is there, but it is not there as much as it was for us. But I think it's just a conversation we need to continue having. But as we're wrapping up, allow me just to thank the ladies. We didn't give them an easy time. Just to summarize what the program was about, it was an 8-week speed mentoring. And it's something we had talked about for a while. We didn't even know how we were going to put it together, and then COVID came. And we said, never waste a good crisis. And we went in and said, Zoom is our best friend. We've got 3 people from Tanzania, and we've got the rest of the ladies from here. Many more applied, by the way, and it was not easy. It took time, and it had to be whatever. But the reason we were not also trying to make it too easy is we wanted people who are already inspired, people who already began the journey. Then we said, what we're going to do with these people who are already inspired is we're going to motivate them, give them opportunities, open networks. There's a few questions people have asked me, and I have answers for them already. Can I link them with so and so, so and so, and so and so? And we're going to continue doing that. And you can see KAM has offered a wider base. And the last thing is why we are inspiring you and mentoring you is because now we are getting you ready for the perspiration. Guys, it has only just begun. Running a business is no small feat. but there's nothing you lack. You have the idea, you have proof of concept already, you have the knowledge. The rest of it is up to you. It's keep learning, keep networking. KAM is an excellent place. Even if you have small little compliance issues, call them. We have a help desk that deals with anything. I have a COVID case. I have a question about this. I have a tax question. That's what we do. So guys, you're ready for it. Congratulations for those of you who have done it. We're looking forward to the next cohort who are going to do it. And most importantly, as much as it was speed dating, we're going to keep in touch, and we're going to have quarterly reviews and make sure that your business is growing. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Phyllis, you can tell us as the CEO of KAM, what do the women have to look forward to in terms of what Women in Manufacturing program will offer going forward?
First of all, just to echo Flora's congratulations to all of you for going through a rigorous program, and we look forward to doing more with you. So as KAM, what we want to commit to is the ability to handhold you. We have a team of experts in different areas, and we are constantly working with government, with businesses to see how we can help them grow. So we encourage you to come on board, take advantage of the SME Hub. There's a business growth program that was designed by Flora herself. After having gone through one many years ago, she sat in the committee that designed it, that really handholds you and walks you through what you need to grow your business. We have a board of advisors that we can put together, where we've asked our members who are experts in different fields to volunteer their time to mentor small businesses to grow. That's something that you can also take advantage of. We have opportunities for market linkages and expos and different things like she spoke about, where you can come and showcase your products so that you're able to become visible to others. We have our website, our directory, so a lot of things that you can take advantage of. And specifically for the Women in Manufacturing program, I know that we are going to continue to run very relevant programs for you so that we grow your businesses. The mentorship program by Flora will be something that I know with Melvin's that we'll continue to do. But at Women in Manufacturing, we are going to ensure that we link you up with the right partners, that we grow your businesses, and that we really champion for the inclusivity of women in the Kenyan manufacturing space. So kindly partner, engage with us, and we look forward to being there and working with you.
All right. So thank you so much. Very hearty congratulations to all who are graduating today. And I'd also like to thank our panelists who are experts in their field, who have taken the time to be here. It's very humbling. Thank you so much. And I know that you continue to leave your doors open for all of us to seek your advice and to grow ourselves and to grow our businesses. The Women in Manufacturing program is open to all of you who have visions, who have ideas, who have concepts. Please come. We're under the Kenya Association of Manufacturers. Our chair is Flora Mutahi. Phyllis Wakiaga is also there to assist, and I as well do the internal coordination of the program as well. And before we finalize, I'd also like to say that if you've been following what Women in Manufacturing has been doing since the beginning of the year, you'll notice that we had a study report on women in manufacturing in Kenya that we wanted to launch, and that's still on, and we are launching it before the end of this month. We'll come back to you with dates. Look out for the dates on Kenya Association of Manufacturers digital platforms, and we'll welcome all of you to join and see what we found out. We've tried to map out who are these women in manufacturing, which sectors are they in, what needs to be done, what interventions can be done by institutions, by partnerships, and etc. So we welcome you to follow all our handles, our pages, and look out for the dates for that as well. So thank you so much, guys. We really appreciate your presence here, and we look forward to having you all on board at the Women in Manufacturing program. Asanteni sana.
Thank you.
Thank you.